Hey everyone. It's been a minute. Wait, I feel like I said this before. In any case, yeah, this is not the video I was expecting to make because, as some of you might have noticed, I wanted to cover the WarriorCast graphic novel adaptation. And trust me, that video is still coming. It's just a matter of, another book came out like last week, so I thought, yeah, I should probably do a video. So here we are. Ivypool's Heart, the 17th Super Edition. There's so many of these now. And so I read it, and I have some thoughts, which we're going to be discussing today. So first off, let's give an overview. Ivypool's Heart. Aside from having a word associated with it that, is a bit in ill taste, despite it being thematically appropriate to the overall book, Ivypool's Heart is about, Ivypool. The first time she's been a protagonist in, a decade at this point? When did Omen of the Stars end? 2013? 2012? Wow, it's been a while. So yeah, it's been a while since we've seen Ivypool as a protagonist. And a lot has happened. She fell in love, she got cat married, she has kids, one of her kids horribly died and can never be seen again because her ghost died. A lot of stuff happened, and I didn't read any of it. Yeah, I still haven't read, The Broken Code or A Starless Clan, so I don't know much about what's happening right now. I've read the wiki, I've seen people talk about it, I've engaged in conversations. I was a part of that whole Frostpod discussion that happened a year or so ago. That was fun to find out about. It wasn't really fun, it was just kind of confusing. Anyway, so overall, the book is fine. It's fine. I don't think it's particularly bad. I've read worse super editions, but I don't find it particularly good. I wouldn't call it an average super edition, more so just an okay one, which I say with a little bit above an average super edition. And the reason I think this is because the book is kind of all over the place. So first off, it's a traveling book. Ooh, yeah, traveling books. I don't care. Listen, there are some bad traveling books. I don't think this is a bad traveling book. If anything, I think this is an okay traveling book. I think the justification for it is, it's there, but it's not particularly, mind-blowing. We get introduced to this brand new character, Whistlepaw, who's Wing-Clad Medicine Cat. I don't know if she's important in the main series. I don't care. She has a vision of a cat being, in trouble, and she sees a symbol. Ooh, scary. And she has to go save them with a bunch of other cats. So she goes on a journey as the representative of Wing Clan, alongside Ivypool of Thunder Clan, Dovewing of Shadow Clan, Rootspring of Sky Clan, and Icewing of River Clan. There's a bit of drama with River Clan. I've heard about it. Anyway, they gotta go on this journey, and, funnily enough, we have a map that kind of dictates their journey. I have the book right here. Let me open to it. And the journey takes them literally all over the map, but in, the most nonsensical path ever. If you thought going through the mountains as a shortcut in the New Prophecy, when it really isn't, then this is the most confusing path ever. Also, it's funny, they call it Ivypool's Journey, the map they call that, but yet they don't actually show the path they take, possibly for spoiler reasons, but also because if they did draw it out, it would be the most nonsensical line ever, which is funny. If you read the book and you try to chart where they went based on the descriptions, it's a little all over the place. But again, map's really cool. We got a brand new map for once. It's a bigger map. And if you've seen the other big map in the past, it expands upon that in a very interesting way. A little contradictory, I think, in one location. I don't know why. And I might be wrong, but based on Tigerheart's Heart, or whatever his super edition was called, I feel like maybe the large map is contradictory to that. I don't know, it's been a while since I've read it or kind of read where they went, but I don't know. Someone please correct me about if they went to the main two-leg place or they went somewhere else. I don't know. Anyway, just set that book aside right now. Overall, they kind of go on this epic journey. They meet the sisters. They meet this new group of cats, which we'll talk about. And they find a foxhead. They find a fanfic clan. Again, we'll talk about it. And eventually they fix an issue. They bring people back. And on the journey, Ivypool learns to not be sad about her daughter's death. Which, let's talk about that. So let's talk about Ivypool's characterization. So basically, Ivypool's whole journey over the course of this book is basically the fact that she needs to kind of accept Bristlefrost's death. Because if you don't remember, and I didn't because I didn't read it, but Bristlefrost died fighting Ashfur. And the way she died meant that she could never be in StarClan. Here's the thing. They frame it in the book that she died because she died in the Dark Forest, not that she died by barreling off into a pool of blood that had no bottom and ceased into nothingness. That's a bit weird. Oh, they also call the cats from the lights in the mist. I thought that was funny. I didn't actually know they called them that. Anyway, so I don't know if this is like a retcon or just kind of a recontextualization of the reason why she can't come back. I don't know. I'd have to read into it. I'm probably not going to, but I probably should. So her whole thing is that she needs to kind of accept her death because she can never see her again. And this kind of parallels with Dovewing, her sister, who they've made up, I guess. That happened at some point. I'm going to go with it. I think it's cute. I like that Dovewing and Ivypool have this really nice relationship, especially since most of the material I've read at this point, they haven't had that really good of a relationship, or if they had, it's been rather tense. I mean, the last time I really dealt with a relationship was like Dovewing's novella, which is like the epilogue for the first saga of the series. But I think overall, their relationship is cute. And yeah, Dovewing also has her own loss to deal with. Her child, Rowan Kit, died very young. And yeah, it's different, and they acknowledge that, yeah, it's a loss, but it's a different kind of loss. Because Dovewing can still see Rowan Kit when she goes to StarClan, so she still can see her. But everyone is telling Ivypool, you need to move on from her death. You need to accept it. That's literally everyone, almost word for word, tells Ivypool the same thing. And it's not until like the very end where she finally accepts it. Now here's the thing. I thought about this for a while. And at first, I didn't like it because it just kind of felt like they didn't know how to fully explain this kind of loss and kind of feeling. But then, as I thought about it, and as I thought about what the book was doing, all these different characters, one of the major themes of this book is loss, because all of these major characters have experienced loss of some sort, and yet they deal with it in very different ways. Obviously, Ivypool and Rootspring, they lost Bristlefrost, and they're very devastated. They're trying to, kind of reach a sense of normalcy to deal with their everyday lives, but they're struggling. And by the end, they do find a sort of acceptance of it. They don't totally, get over it, but they kind of accept that, yeah, she has died, but we cannot dwell on it for the rest of our lives. We need to move on because she would want us to move on. Not to forget her, but to accept that her death happened, and we cannot let that rule our lives. We also have the loss of the sisters, which we'll talk about a little bit later about the hypocrisy there. I think people kind of talked about this. But there is a loss there. I think Snow is her name, I believe. She talks to Rootspring about it. Very poorly, I might add. The sisters are... I have thoughts about the sisters. Anyway, that's kind of happened. And then we have, of course, the Wildcats. And, I don't remember her name, but she had lost litters. And, she talked about, that loss is very profound and very devastating. And then, of course, you have other people, like you have Galestar talking about she lost her mate and she felt abandoned by her clan, abandoned by her loved ones. And you also have the other group of Wildcats thinking that they're the last ones, that they were abandoned, that they lost everything that hold dear to them. And then everyone has different ways of moving on. And I'll be honest here, I do not know the kind of loss that Bristlefrost knows. I've never experienced a loss to that extent. I have seen loss, I've experienced loss, but never that kind of loss. That deep emotional loss of losing someone extraordinarily close to you. So I don't know if I can fully kind of evaluate or even say if it was a good depiction. I think it was good for what they were intending to do. Although, if it resonated with people who have experienced loss, I could not say. So I think overall, I can't really, evaluate. Because originally, I was going to say that people say that the same thing over and over again and only in the last minute that she finally accept this. But I don't know if, that's how people normally handle loss of that manner. So I don't know if I can really talk about it that way. So in that case, please, again, let me know, write comments, I know some of you will, what are your thoughts about this? Do you think it was, if you have read the book, if it was appropriate, if it was handled well, if it wasn't handled well, please let me know. I'm passing the speaking shell to you, the conch. If you know, you know. Speaking of Bristlefrost, let's talk about the Bristlefrost Conundrum. It's funny. So, about a year ago, when it was first announced this was the book, and this was the intention of the book, someone, Akira, Bright Guardian Akira, she made a video, and I responded to that video. I didn't respond to the video, I responded to the theory of the video, because I thought the theory was right. I thought they would bring Bristlefrost back. And they kind of did. But not in the way that I think any of us really thought, because she doesn't come back. They don't bring her back to life. She doesn't become a spirit again. But she acknowledges that just because she is not a cat that is a spirit, but she's a spirit of everything on the earth. She's everywhere. Like the wind, or like the breeze, and stuff like that. And yeah, she does have a kind of conversation with Ivypool, but in my opinion, it's kind of played off as is this really her, or is it the idea of her? And that does kind of finally motivate Ivypool to move on, which is something else. But I think overall, it was handled kind of well. They didn't bring her back, but they still gave her an opportunity to kind of give Ivypool closure. And I really like that. So overall, I think that part of the book was handled really, really well. So props to them. But now, let's be mean. Let's talk about some of the big problems with the books. And that is, we have new groups, but the same problems. The same issues. Oh gosh. So first, let's talk about the groups. So first off, we meet back up with the sisters. Now the sisters, for those who don't know, they're a group of all female cats who believe, they don't really believe it, they have the ability to commune with the spirits, the spirits and stuff like that. And also, their men, the Toms, they can communicate with the earth and other spirits. They have different powers, it's kind of vague, kind of intentional. But their belief, the sisters, is that when men turn a certain age, basically when they're teenagers, they send them out into the world. They basically kick them out. And, I mean, we already know this is kind of a thing with Tree is basically, he was a sister, child, and he was kicked out, and he has very negative thoughts and feelings about that. Now, in regard to this book, it's interesting because they meet back up with the sisters, and, the Toms are allowed to come back and visit, but they have to, be kicked out, and it's made very obvious that the Toms do not know what they are doing, because they were basically teenagers, and people who were not taught and learned. And as we've seen previously with the sisters, they don't really teach their kids who they're going to kick out any life skills. So when they get kicked out, they're going to die, essentially. And that happens sometimes. But it's funny because Root Spring calls them out on this at one point. Because Snow, I believe her name is, she says, "Yo, Root Spring, I know your girlfriend is dead. When you gonna get another one?" And he's really angry about it because you don't even care about me. You kick out all your men, so why do you want me to get a relationship? And it's funny because he calls them out on their hypocrisy. And the book kind of acknowledges that they are kind of hypocrites, but at the same time, they're trying to respect the culture. And I'll talk about the overall problem in a sec, but it's kind of funny. The sisters, they're there and then they move on. They're not quite overused yet, but they're getting there. Very, very soon, they will be overused. And they'll just, and like, overused and underdeveloped. They were getting there. But then, if you thought we were going to get one returning group, we get two brand new groups. So first, we have the Wildcats. Now, the Wildcats, they're kind of weirdly defined. Like, when I read the book, initially, I thought they were like lynxes or like something of the like, based on the way they described them. But then they talked about like they had long tails, and you know, some like art has kind of come out that they're just kind of bigger cats, like big feral cats. And this kind of maybe takes it England or maybe doesn't. Who knows? I also saw like Scottish wildcats as a thing. I don't know. The wiki will probably figure it out. But it's interesting because they have a very interesting culture. So they're just called the Wildcats. You know, they don't really have a name, but they have a very interesting naming convention. So like the kind of early settlers, they have two names. Their parents give them their first name, and then they commune with like the spirits again, different spirits, and they give them their full name. They get like a full name. And like the sisters, these big wildcats, they can commune with the earth and the air. And like they say earth, air, and wind, I believe. No, not that. Earth, air, and water. That's basically their thing. Is they're very close to saying earth, air, water, and fire. They don't say fire. Cool, they did though. You know, Avatar reference. But it's weird because like they have this very unique culture. They have these like stuff that they can go in and like they enter like tree stumps or they enter caves and then they can just appear in the spirit world, which is interesting. And also they have this like ritual where they kind of call the spirits down, like their ancestors, to basically possess them and talk to other cats, which is kind of cool, but I have an issue with it. But I'll explain that in a sec. So we have the sisters and we have the Wildcats. We have two groups, but what if we added a third? Let's talk about Storm Clan. So Storm Clan's big issue. So Storm Clan basically is a love story clan. So we have Gale Star of Wind Clan and Stripe Star of Thunder Clan, and they love each other, a forbidden romance, and they combine Thunder Clan and Wind Clan into one clan, Storm Clan. And they have this symbol, like it's a cloud with like a thunder, like a jagged thunder strike through it. And, you know, they eventually leave the forest because they got kicked out because people accuse them of like bringing two legs to harass them or some stuff. I don't know, not really important. And they go on this whole thing. It's hard. The whole reason this happens is because, you know, Gale Star and her kits are abandoned. Not really, kind of, yeah. And you also have the issue where, you know, they're abandoned and they thought they're forgotten, and Storm Clan is just completely forgotten, like it's erased from their memories, all of the Spirit Cat memories of Star Clan, which, okay, we're just gonna roll with it. I think it's some BS, but that's alright. But, yeah, it's just a fanfic clan. Like, it's just fanfic. That's all Storm Clan is. Like, all of these fan clans people make up that I never really got why people did it, it's literally just that. They combined a clan, they left the forest, they went to do their own thing, they maybe died at some point, who knows, but it's just fanfic. Like, also, Gale Star for Wind Clan, that makes sense. Stripe Star, really? That's very, very, very fanfic. And I think even one of the cats is named Rosebush. Rosebush, literally Rosebush is like their warrior name, which that sounds very like a fan kind of like fan clan kind of thing. But it's so, oh my gosh, it's so weird. It doesn't really serve much of the point. I know why they did it, and I think for the plot they're trying to tell, it works, but it shouldn't. And now let's get into the main issue I have with all this stuff. We have so many groups, and we know they're very interesting. Like the sisters, they have this really intricate kind of stuff, and we keep meeting them, but they never develop beyond their initial characterization between they just hate men, and they think men are stupid and they kick them out. And yeah, they got a little bit more chill since their earlier depictions, but for the most part, straight up, they're just kind of assholes. You know, they're really mean and kind of hypocrites, but they're really passive aggressive about it. But this thing, This has been their characterization for every single book they've appeared in. Ever since Squirrel Flight's Hope, they have just been the same. It's the same issue with the tribe. They're being overused again and again and again without ever developing beyond their base characteristics. It's annoying. Like, if you're not going to give them their own, like, original story, at the very least, can you see stuff changing? I mean, we see the clans are willing to adapt. Allow kitty pets in, allow rogues in, allow loners in. Changes to the codes, changes the territory, reintegrating a new clan. Like, surely you can't just say the clans are the only cat group that can evolve. And then you have the Wildcats. The Wildcats are really interesting. Interesting culture, interesting practices, interesting, way of life, interesting names, interesting kind of lore. And yet, we're never going to see them again. Literally, I doubt, and I could be wrong about this, but I doubt we're ever going to hear about the Wildcats again, aside from this one book. And if we do see them again, I don't know how they're going to justify it. It's just, it's so frustrating, because would I love a book based on the Wildcats? Absolutely. I think further developing this kind of way of life would be awesome. I don't think they're ever going to do it, though. They're just going to be abandoned and forgotten until they remember they have them. Same thing with StormClan. The StormClan, despite its fanfic nature, they're never going to use it again. Kind of, like, if they do Super Edition 18, which I'll talk about later. Super Edition 18, because it's supposed to be connected to Super Edition 17, this one. If that one's just a StormClan Super Edition, then maybe that'll be the connection. But I don't know. I've looked back on, like, what they said about Super Edition 18. So I kind of doubt now that it will be a StormClan one. Who knows, though. But anyway, it's so frustrating. With all these cool groups that either will never be used again, or they'll just be used over and over again, and they'll never change. They'll just be broken and boring, and it'll just be used as a way to show that the clan is the ultimate group, when that should never be the case. The clan is not the best way of life. It should be a way of life, and there should be other ways of life that have their own benefits and detriments, and that they should acknowledge some of these detriments and strive to change. If the clans can change, why can't other groups? What's the difference? There shouldn't be one. There really shouldn't. And it doesn't even be major changes, be minor changes. Maybe they train their men to, maybe the sisters train their men to be more functional on their own. But they're not going to do that. Oh no, the Warriors team, they're not going to do that. Like, we've had this issue since, like, 10 years ago. And even though we've had team changes, they're still not going to change their ways. And it's frustrating. It's very frustrating that we're never going to get, expansion beyond base concepts. Hell, if you can change the code and have, like, 2 arcs dedicated to changing the code, why can't you change other groups? Why can't you give us, like, a story of one of these other groups and show them not changing fundamentally, but changing minusculely, and seeing how that affects them as a whole. Like, I want a tribe book. I know people hate the tribe right now, but I want a book, like a Super Edition size book, just about the tribe. I know they said they want to do a tribe series. That won't work. Give us a tribe Super Edition, please. I'm begging you. I like the culture. I think it's interesting. And if you want to double down on some of the stuff the fans think, do that. Clearly you're doing it here with StormClan. Anyway, let's get angry some more. This is going to be a short one. Let's talk about the length. So, this book, I just tapped it, by the way. This is literally the shortest Super Edition that has ever existed. Literally the shortest Super Edition that has ever existed. And I checked this, right? So, the total amount of pages in this Super Edition is 400. However, if you only count the numbered pages, like pages with actual words on them, it is 376. 376! Like, it's 376! That is not a lot. Like, I have main series books that are longer than this. Like, I checked. I have hardcovers of arcs 5 and 6. This book is, like, shorter than almost all of them. And that's frustrating. Like, it's a Super Edition. And here's the thing. Even if you go, like, with a 400 page number, like, total page number, that don't even have, like, pages. That includes the map. That includes, like, all the other books they have on the lists. It's still shorter by, like, than every other super edition. Like, aside from this super edition, the shortest super edition that I checked all the page numbers, the shortest overall super edition is 464 pages. This book is 64 pages smaller than the shortest super edition. And I believe it's I think it's Tigerheart Shadow, I believe was one of it. I think it was tied with another one. But, yeah, this is so short. Now, to be fair, to be nice, even though it is really short, it doesn't really feel like it's short. I still feel like it told a cohesive and longer story that you couldn't fit in the main series. So I think, even though I don't like the length, what they did with that length was actually very good. They utilized their time actually extraordinarily well. So props to them for that. And also, as I kind of mentioned earlier, how the hell is this part one of a two-part epic saga or whatever? Because they've said repeatedly, if you followed their the Warrior Cats team's mumblings and stuff, that Ivypool's Heart is part one of a two-book kind of saga of super editions. But the question is, what's part two? Because this book, it tells a complete and final story. There is no room at all for a part two, in my opinion. There's no setup. There's literally no setup at all. It's weird. It's baffling to me. Not a single ounce of setup. Why? Why is there no setup? Why? I don't know why. So, because people originally theorized that it'd be Root Spring, but his character journey happened. His whole thing happened parallel to Ivypool, and he's satisfied. He is ready to move on. He has fully accepted Bristlefrost's death and acknowledged that he needs to, move on to his life, not to forsake her, but in honor of her. He says that if I'm going to find another mate, she has to not be comparable, but has to be someone that Bristlefrost would approve of, which I think is really cool for Root Spring. So it can't be Root Spring. I don't know if it could be someone like Whistlepaw. It could be, and that'd be cool if we had a super edition that's focused on an apprentice, because we never really had that. I don't think we've even had a novella based on an apprentice, so I think that'd be really cool. So good Whistlepaw. It could be StormClan. They could do a super edition on that, but I don't really know why, because it wouldn't really be progressing the story. It would more so treat this book as setup. I don't know. I genuinely don't know how this could connect to a part two, which kind of could be a good thing, unexpected, but I don't know. My current theory, if they don't do StormClan, they could do Whistlepaw. That would be really cool. We'll see. But I probably should wrap this up because we're talking about 30 minutes. I didn't expect this to go for 30 minutes. I didn't think I'd have this much to say about this book, but I guess so. Literally, I have 6 things on my little list here. But final thoughts. Ivypool's Heart. It's a okay book. It's okay. It's not good. It's not bad. It's okay. There's some good stuff. I like the Wildcats. I like, for the most part, again, I might change my mind about this later. I think I like Ivypool's journey. I think it works for what they're intending to do, although I don't think it goes much deeper than it should. But I think it's okay. This book's just an okay book. Not good, not bad, it's okay. Which is funny, because this book's apparently very polarizing. People either love it, or they hate it with 1,000 furies. And I just think it's it's okay. It's okay. It's better than River Star's book. I'll say that much. But yeah. That's the video. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comments below, what did you think? Did you like the book? Did you hate the book? Did you think it was just okay? Let me know. And the graphic novel adaptation book will be coming after this one, so stay tuned. Have a nice day, y'all. Bye.